Salciunas. This is Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
You know, I know we don't see many championships in Philadelphia, but every once in a while you see freaking awesome days because the sports in this city are great. Everybody's hungry to win, not just the fans, but also the GMs, the players, the executives, and you saw that last night. A big win for the Sixers. Hey, nice win for the Phillies. But what a draft for the Eagles, and we're just on day one. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade Salciunas.
If Howie Roseman covets a guy, you go get your guy. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
There's some in the fan base that are very much of the belief that clock is ticking. I couldn't look at it more opposite. I think this team has a window.
Kincade Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Friday morning, Philadelphia. Fanatic Friday, a football Friday, an unbelievable day to be a Philadelphia sports fan Friday. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
It was a spectacular Thursday that led to this Friday morning.
Absolutely.
Everything, we were all ready to do the show last night by 9:45, 10 o'clock.
Oh, I did a 4-hour podcast by myself. Nobody listened to it. Nobody listened to it.
And there it is.
And now here I am on the air talking about it.
I didn't listen to your podcast either. I'm sorry about that.
No, nobody did. I didn't even post it. I just sat in my basement like a loony and just talked to myself for about 4 hours and talked about how great the night was.
We were at happy hour last night at PJ's and in Wynwood. Thanks for that. It was great to see everybody. But to me, the idea that little did we know what was coming.
Oh, my God. And
it's a cavalcade of excitement and energy and positivity that we damn well needed.
Yeah, exactly, because it's been a rough week. It's been a rough week because of the Sixers being down 2-0 and the anticipation of the draft, but we weren't sure what they were going to do. And that was a good thing. The Eagles are in a good position where they could have gone in so many different directions. But, dude, I'll be honest, I wasn't watching the draft. I was watching the Sixers game, right? I knew Sixers playoffs I could easily follow on social media.
So that's what you were doing.
Who they were drafting, right?
I was bouncing back. I was bouncing back and forth, and then I did for the first time the iPad at the same time because the Sixers game got a little bit comfortable.
Okay.
And thanks to everybody who followed with me on the alternate line.
Yeah, congratulations
that was nice.
On the bet.
But it was just it got a little comfortable, so I was able to concentrate a little bit more on what was going on with the draft. I kept waiting to see if the Eagles were trading up.
Well, right. That's what I was doing. So there's an NFL draft Twitter account. Like they're the official league's NFL draft.
I didn't even know that, by the way.
So I just honestly was on that account, refreshing. I would see the next pick. I would see trades. I would see all that kind of stuff. And as I'm watching, I'm like, offense. I
couldn't get over it.
I'm like, oh my God, this is going to play out the way that we wanted it, right? We, as a show, wanted an impact corner in the first round. We, as a show, believed that they were going to eventually draft an offensive lineman because that's what the Eagles have been doing for 20-plus years, and to their credit, it worked. But all of a sudden, you see the draft fall the way that it multiple impact corners that are available, and there were impact corners available post the Eagles selection.
Which is shocking.
They drafted cornerback Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, the guy that I wanted. We did our Instagram stuff with Dylan McKinnon the other day. He asked, who do you want? What do you think is going to happen? I wanted Quinyon Mitchell. I expected the Eagles to go offensive lineman. I was talking about Tyler Guyton, the guy out of Oklahoma. He ends up going to Dallas. So I wanted Quinyon Mitchell. And Quinyon Mitchell comes to Philadelphia at 22. They didn't have to trade up to 12, 16, 19, the three different spots that we heard most about potential trade-up spots. They stayed at 22 and got their guy.
I think Howie Roseman listened to the show the other day.
Yes.
And he saw where if you trade up before draft day, you pay more, significantly more.
Right.
He waited. I am never, and I mean never, going to invite Howie Roseman to a poker night. He's never invited.
Oh, yeah, because he's going to fleece you.
Because he played that perfectly.
Well, here he is. Here he is talking about it. So I love the question. I only have the answer. The question was asked by Martin Frank. It was a great question because he asked, hey, you drafted a corner. It's something that you don't normally do. You don't normally draft off of need. You normally draft best player available. Howie Roseman answered both of those questions right here.
Well, I think you hit it. We didn't feel like we had to take a corner in the first round, but it was the highest ranked player at a position that we'd like to kind of get some younger players here. We got some younger players last year. We like those younger players. We wanted to add some competition at the corner position, and so we felt like based on those factors. But I think the most important thing was that we didn't jump the board. This guy was standing out on our board. He was the highest ranked guy, and it's just the only reason that it was a hard pick was because there were still a bunch of good players there that we liked that we would have been happy to select.
The number one highest rated player on their board that was still available. It was easy, and he didn't have to trade up for it. Last year, I know it wasn't much, the jump from 10 to 9 to get Jalen Carter, right? They had to give up a pick to go up and get him. And I always say, if you have a guy that you want to get, you go get him. Our new open that just played, I said, if there's a guy that you covet, you go after that guy. They coveted Quinyon Mitchell, but Howie Roseman, to your point, Mr. Poker Face, just sat there and kept letting it play out and play out and play out, and nothing ended up going wrong for the Eagles yesterday.
I'm sure Schefter could tell us more, but I know from conversations over the years with Chris Mortensen, he said the best general managers understand the market as far as what the other GMs are doing. And he says too many of them don't have relationships and haven't worked it enough to really sort of be able to figure out, okay, I think I know what this guy's doing. I think I know what this guy's doing. Howie didn't blink. Trade up a couple. Les Snead was probably waiting for a phone call from Howie Roseman, getting itchy, going,
Right.
Wait a minute here. But Howie also, they never let on how much they were really going to go corner.
Right. No, he never did. They never did, and they end up going corner. It's the first time that he has ever drafted a corner in the first round. It's been the first corner in the first round selected by the Eagles since Lito Shepard.
That's wonderful.
In 2002, so it's been 22
and
years.
We all begged for it.
We all did.
And it's one of those things where rarely at a draft do we get what the fans beg for.
Right.
The media begged for. We got it last night. And so no revisionist history will ever be allowed on this pick because it has uniformly been thrilled and celebrated.
Unless you wanted a specific corner, right? Arnold goes after Quinyon Mitchell, the corner out of Alabama.
Went to Detroit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, went to Detroit.
And then the other corner out of Alabama didn't even get drafted in the first round.
Second round, he's coming, boys.
Double down. Connor's devastated for his friend who never met Connor. Kool-Aid McKinstry not getting drafted in the first round. But an incredible day for the Eagles yesterday. There was stuff that happened before the draft that we'll even talk about for the Eagles yesterday. But it wasn't just draft day. It was also Sixers-Knicks game 3 in a game where you absolutely needed to win the game, obviously, because you didn't want to go down 3-0 in the series, and they relied on their MVP. Joel, the man, the process, the MVP, the freaking Embiid. All you haters out there, 50 points. 50 points and 8 boards out of Joel Embiid.
It was, and he came with a tude.
Yes.
A big-time tude.
Yep.
Into that game. And early on in the game, it looked like that was going to work to his detriment. He calmed down.
He did calm down.
And then he became a freaking assassin.
I said to...
And he was so to the hoop. He was so aggressive.
Yep. I said to Christy, my wife, who was watching the game with me, that play where he grabs Mitchell Robinson's legs, totally dirty, and could have been kicked out of the game for it.
Yep.
He could have been kicked out of the game for it, and then they lose that game, and then they're down 3-0 in the series. So you're right. He then calmed down.
Calmed down.
He played to his ability, which is one of the best players, if not the best players in the NBA, and he just drops a ho-hum 50 spot in an NBA playoff game, and he's hitting threes. For the people that complain that he's on the perimeter too much, 6 of 8. I tweeted this out last night. I watched a 7-foot back 3 and make it. That doesn't happen.
He was unconscious with that. He just got into a beautiful rhythm with that, which is great. But it was also a big change for Joel Embiid because now, I think for the first time truly in his career, in a playoff situation, he is a flat-out villain.
Yeah.
And how he wears that black hat is going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be
fun
to watch.
He'll play into it.
He'll play into it because that really was. I think it was a payback. The referee's not kicking him out last night.
It could have been, because he could have been kicked out for that.
I think he absolutely.
He could have been kicked out for that.
We would have started the show today calling for him to have been kicked out of that game if we were doing New York sports radio.
Right.
And so it's. I think it was the referee saying, "Okay, they got screwed royally in game two.
We're gonna let this one slide.
We're gonna let that slide a little bit, and then Embiid just calmed down and just became workmanlike.
And by the way,
it was awesome.
He's doing it with the bum leg, right? Even though he looked better yesterday, let's face it, he's still in pain. There was one moment where he's coming off the bench to check back into the game.
In the fourth.
And you could see him limping to the scores table. Oh, he played 41 minutes last. Bum leg. John, that really pumped me up. He backed up what he said after game two.
He did.
When they lost game two, he says, we're going to win this series. We are the better team. Gone out there last night, they could have won the game, and he could have scored 20 or 30. No, he scored 50.
Kelly Oubre.
Yeah,
great
big game.
Nice to see. How about campaign with those 2 threes? Was so huge in that just one sequence that you were seeing that. And I got to tell you, and again, apologies to Kyle Lowry. Not that I was poo-pooing him being here, but I questioned, what's he got in the tank?
Oh, he's got a lot of it, apparently.
This guy? Oh, my gosh. Nick Nurse knew exactly what he was getting, and Kyle Lowry has the heart of a lion.
Yeah.
He is. He was ferocious again.
And oh, by the way, speaking of Nick Nurse, credit to him. You mentioned campaign. He put Buddy Hield out there. They ran a play for him to take a three. He missed the shot. Then Buddy Hield tries to make a layup. He doesn't get it. Quick hook.
Like, boom.
He played 4 minutes last night. Nick Nurse goes, all right, let's try something else. They go campaign, and campaign goes out there and just fires away.
In a sequence, too, that sequence was huge.
It was huge.
At that point.
Yeah, and he just fires away. So when they first acquired him, remember that all the violins were out for the Patrick Beverly being traded away. Look, I like Pat Bev. I like his energy. I like his attitude. I think there's leadership qualities to him that a team might like. But Cameron Payne fits with Joel Embiid so much better than Pat Bev does because Cam Payne can actually catch and shoot. He can run a dribble handoff with Joel Embiid. He can run a pick and roll with Joel Embiid. He can shoot. He can help space the floor. The other thing is he has a history of playing well in the playoffs. When the Suns made that run a couple of years ago, they lost to the Nuggets, I think. Cam Payne was dropping 20 points in some games, and this is when he was on a team with Devin Booker.
And I didn't know much about him, but just researching it and looking at it
the guy
at the
can
time,
score.
I just flat out said, he can give you more. There's more of an opportunity here than what Pat Bever's going to give you.
Right.
He's flat out. I mean, it's, everybody, but he has a podcast. I'm like, look, Cam Payne, that was a nice acquisition and good. Give him an opportunity. But I loved the quick hook. I'm so glad you led with that.
Yeah.
Because to me,
that's good coaching.
I don't think that Doc Rivers would have had the quick hook.
No, he wouldn't have.
I think Doc Rivers would have ridden the guy who's the veteran and just kept trying
and look,
knocking at the door.
There is in basketball to keep shooting, right? Buddy Hield's a career 40% three-point shooter, right? You tell him to keep shooting. But when he's hesitant to shoot and he doesn't make said shot, then you have to make the decision to pull him out. Whereas Doc Rivers, maybe more of an old school guy, will say, keep shooting, kid, keep shooting.
And I think that's what Doc would have done.
I think so,
I'm just
too.
assuming. I'm not trying to take a cheap shot at Doc. I just think that Doc would have ridden with a guy he would have ridden Buddy Hield till the wheels fell off, and we would have been like, what's going on? He goes, what do you want me to do? I got to get they acquired him.
Right.
I got to give him a chance.
But it was an amazing win.
Great game.
Tyrese Maxey drops 25, and it was
it was quiet.
I was just about to say it was a quiet 25 points. He has 7 dimes yesterday. You mentioned Kelly Oubre, big in the first quarter, really, because he stepped up. I mean,
that was huge.
They stopped running the offense through Tyrese Maxey. Now a lot of it was the Knicks started putting OG Anunoby on him. Whereas games 1 and 2, you saw maybe some Brunson that was on Maxey. You saw other guys go toward Maxey. OG Anunoby had it was his job yesterday to D up Tyrese Maxey. And to Maxey's credit, he still scored 25 against a tremendous defensive player.
And he didn't seem like he was getting frustrated. It didn't seem like he was, there was any kind of begging for calls.
But this is why, John, I get so upset when we talk about the Embiid and Maxey. And I understand what you say. Embiid and Maxey need to be the catalyst of this team. And look, they were. They scored 75.
And they have to be.
125 points last night. But yesterday, when Embiid's obviously they're focusing on Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey now has a totally new guy in front of him guarding him. You need somebody else to step up at times, and Kelly Oubre did that for you yesterday. And that was one of the biggest issues in games 1 and 2. Maxey and Embiid got theirs. They did their part, but they didn't have that third person. And last night, you finally had the third person to help you out.
Well, was last night a third person, or was it a conglomeration of what Daryl Morey sketched out on paper sort of coming
It was a collective effort.
Like, you know what I mean? But it was like...
But I'm talking about Oubre early on, because
Oubre was
early
great
on,
early on.
It was the Kelly Oubre show. He was part of the reason why you were going into the second quarter only down 2.
He's got to be here, right?
Yes.
Oubre?
Yeah.
He has to be he has run his way right into a contract.
Yeah, he definitely should.
He's found a home because he is so much. Last night I just saw, and I thought first 2 games he was letting us down a little bit, and last night he was feeling it.
Well, I think the first 2 games was almost like a Buddy Hield thing, where the offense was so focused on Embiid and Maxey that I do think some guys weren't having the ball go through there. And look, during the playoffs, you want the ball in the best players on your team, right? Like you want
no question.
But I think maybe it was an orchestrated effort from Nick Nurse to get Kelly Oubre involved, to try to get Buddy Hield involved, but it just didn't work. Then he gets Campaign involved, and it did work. I mean, bottom line is you had other people step up for the first time in this series, and that's why you're now down 2-1, and you hope to even the series Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock, man. I can't believe it.
Do you need me to call Christy to work this out?
We'll get into that.
You got it, yeah.
I got a busy day Sunday.
He's got a busy Sunday.
And it's like it's a Andrew Salciunas day.
It's not Father of the Year Sunday.
No, it's not. It's Sunday League men's baseball because I can't hang them up, and then Sixers Knicks 1 o'clock. Yeah, she might kill me. We'll
it
have
is
some
going
fun
to
with
be
it.
awesome, and we'll have Sixers coverage for you all day long today, obviously, as we celebrate, but all weekend long, building you up to Game 4, which is now so freaking critical. You win Game 4, and you've seized not have you tied the series, but you've seized the momentum.
Absolutely.
Back. And the momentum will be huge.
And then it gets into the head of the Knicks players like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have won both games 1 and 2.
Absolutely.
Like the Sixers, I love what Bob Cooney's been saying on the midday show. Could have won Game 1, should have won Game 2.
Perfect summation.
I think the Knicks players might start getting a sense of that too.
Well, what's great is for every Sixers fan, if you're going to have to win Game 5 or Game 7, you want to win this series at MSG.
Right.
You've watched them play 2 games. They could have won either game.
Correct.
So there's no intimidation factor of going, damn, we just do not look like we belong in that building.
And part of me wonders if the Knicks feel that way.
Oh,
and,
I guarantee.
And the Sixers feel that way. That confidence, which is why Joel Embiid said what he said after Game 2, where he said, we're going to win the series. We're the better team. So it's going to be a crazy day today on Kincade and Salciunas.
Happy day.
A very happy day. I'm looking at the clock right now. It just turned 6:18. I know we went from 6 to 6:08 talking Eagles draft, 6:08 to 6:18 talking Sixers Game 3, and we didn't even get everything out. I mean, there's just so much to get into. The draft itself last night was wild because of how it played out for the Eagles. And we'll talk about all that kind of stuff because what some teams did ahead of the Eagles, I will be scratching my head forever. I always say that there are teams that offend my sports intelligence because I feel like sometimes I do know a thing or two more than some GMs in the NFL and other
I think
sports.
there's some evidence to that last night.
I mean, I can't believe what I saw unfold. So we will talk about all of that coming up today on Kincade and Salciunas. We would love to hear from you on the text line and the phone line. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Your reaction to everything that unfolded last night. The Eagles. There's an extension of A.J. Brown that we're going to get into.
That's like
we haven't
in
even
a
talked about
normal
that.
day. In a normal day, that is the lead.
You're right.
And the fact that you've got arguably the best wide receiver combination in the NFL.
And it's locked up.
Locked down. You have no worries about it. A building block of your franchise. And normally on a day, we would be leading with that.
Absolutely.
Talking about all the different ramifications of it, and it's not even cracking the...
Yeah, you know what? Screw you, Howie. You couldn't have waited a week so we could have had something else to talk about?
I just got to say it again, though. Watching Howie Roseman work, again, there are critiques of Howie Roseman in his tenure, over his tenure as the Eagles general manager. But his ability to read a room and understand where a draft is going. I am a planner. I'm a buy-in-advance guy. I absolutely would have had an itchy trigger finger and I would have ended up giving the Rams something.
Yeah.
Just to end up, I would have gone, Quinyon Mitchell's still there. our number one guy still there, I would have called Les Snead and said, what do I got to give you just to make sure I get my guy?
Right.
He didn't blink. He didn't freaking blink because he did his homework.
And he got the player that they had highest on their draft board at that spot. I love it. Great job, Howie. Great job, Sixers. Great job, Embiid. And you know what? Before somebody goes, hey, are you going to even mention them? Good win for the Fightins last night.
It was yesterday afternoon. That was nice.
Afternoon.
Yes.
They win 5-0. Zach Wheeler dazzles, 6 strong, 1-hit ball. Orion Karkering, an inning in 2
looked good.
third.
He looked
Hoffman,
good.
an inning in a third. 5 strikeouts from your bullpen. Bryce Harper.
Welcome back, Bryce.
After his third child's born, it's a home run. He goes 2 for 3. What a nice in Philadelphia sports. We'll react to it all. Coming up next, more reaction to the Eagles NFL draft. And also, the Embiid is soft crowd. I hope you're like looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, maybe I was wrong. The guy is not soft. He plays through everything. And you know what? He talked about that last night. And I think it's very important to play so that the people that are always critical about him go, you know what? Maybe I should give this guy a little bit more credit. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
What a...
Perfect.
a Philadelphia sports fan. I hope you just woke up with a smile on your face. You know, this is one of those days, John, when the morning you jump out of bed. Yeah, like I had no issue getting out of bed this morning.
No.
I was ready to go, ready to celebrate today with you and Connor and with all our great listeners, our callers. You can text into the show at 610-632-0975. I know the text line is already fired up, so we'll get to a couple of texts later on this segment as well as some calls. But just, you know, again, one more time. The Eagles draft Quinyon Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo.
And we'll get it right. Quinyon.
Yes.
Quinyon.
They drafted him at 22nd overall. They did not have to trade up for him. Every mock draft that had the Eagles mentioning getting Mitchell was a 16. They got him at 22. Howie Roseman was able to sit on his hands. And as we always hear, Howie's going to trade. Howie's going to trade. I risked a limb, but I cashed out early, so don't worry.
You did cash out early?
Pinky.
I still have all my limbs intact. I, for the life of me, thought that he was going to trade up for something because that's just what Howie does. Or trade back and acquire talent down the road. He sat at 22 and got his guy.
I was even texting you guys saying he's trading with the Rams.
Yes.
Because I knew that Les Snead was open for business with the Rams, and I was like, he's going to trade with the Rams because I was getting itchy. I said, can you believe this? Like, we're doing texting at the end of the Sixers and everything. I'm like, can you believe the way this has fallen? But again, I would have blinked. I would have panicked.
I would have too.
I would have absolutely said.
Because you're salivating. You're going, oh, my God, my guy is still here. Just 3 picks up. I didn't have to trade up to 12. I didn't have to trade up for 16.
And that's where I think sometimes you think to yourself, I could be an executive. I could figure these things out. I would have blinked.
Well,
I would have given up capital.
I could probably be an executive in Atlanta, but we'll get to that later on.
Hey,
because what happened yesterday in the NFL draft was absolutely amazing. And it's part of the reason why it got to the point where the Eagles were able to select Quinyon Mitchell with the 22nd overall pick.
Yes.
A lot of people saying the best corner in the NFL draft. I think a lot of people say that Arnold's pro ready right away, but Quinyon Mitchell may have the highest upside, and that's great because you finally have a young corner. I know you did not want both Darius Slay and James Bradbury to come back.
And that was a year ago. I didn't want that.
And now you know that Darius Slay is going to be back because I highly doubt that James Bradbury is a starting corner when you draft Mitchell with the 22nd overall pick. And that's great. Now all of a sudden you got a veteran. Oh, by the way, Mitchell said yesterday that he likes to try to, play like Darius Slay. And he supports Darius Slay, and Darius Slay is one of his favorite players. So that's great that they're on the same team now.
It's so exciting. There's so many things to be excited about. And then we have, as we said, how do you keep it straight today? Like, everybody going to work today, if you're a Philly sports fan, you are going to work with a huge smile on your face.
Yep.
And I was like, I've wanted one of these days. I don't think we've had one in a long time. Like, we're just, everything just cavalcades in. And I'm not talking about one great story.
No, multiple.
Eagles going to the Super Bowl. Phillies going to the World Series. It's all piling up right now.
Right, at the same time. So the traffic on 76 for you guys in a couple hours, it might not be as bad today because you're enjoying what happened last night. All right, so also Sixers win, right? So we're trying to do this balancing act of the incredible first round for the Eagles last night, but also the incredible win for the Sixers last night, keeping the series alive. They make it 2-1 with that win last night, and they win because of a 50 spot by Joel Embiid. Now, you know how I get when it comes to the big man. I get very defensive.
You do.
When it comes to Joel Embiid.
You absolutely do.
Because we all know his talent. I don't want to give up on it because I think at some point, if you do give up on it, there's the dark fear that he'll be healthy for the other team that he plays for and they win a championship. I know how talented this guy is. It's just a freaking shame that he's always hurt. I understand the fatigue for a lot of people. I get it. I had my therapy session with you guys the other day. I watched Joel Embiid throw an alley-oop off the backboard, and then I thought he died. Right? Like it's amazing what has followed his career from the day he got drafted. Because remember, he didn't play for 2 years.
It's like black cat syndrome.
Yeah, pretty much. And Joel Embiid last night talked about it. And I want to play this because I think there are a lot of people that throw out the he's soft tag way too often.
We've discussed this multiple times just in the past week.
He's not soft. He's not.
If anyone's
soft,
coming with the soft,
you're ridiculous for saying it.
that's the one. You can come with dramatic in his career. He has absolutely lived up to that billing.
You could say injury prone. That is accurate. But last night, after the 50-point win, think about it. Younger Joel Embiid's probably parading around on the press, at the press conference. He has matured a lot, right? He may still be dramatic on the court, but the way he speaks, the way he handles himself, he has matured a lot. And I've loved seeing this growth process for Joel Embiid. And there was a touching moment yesterday when he talked about his career with all the injuries. And there's a human element to it and the human side of it because we look at Joel Embiid as this 7'2" monster that's just talented, and we sometimes forget that these players are also human. Take a listen to what Joel Embiid said last night about now another thing that he's dealing with the Bell's palsy. But here's Embiid talking about his career with all the injuries.
I say it every day. It is unfortunate. Every single year, you start asking yourself questions like, why? Every single year is very annoying. Yeah, maybe it's just meant to be. Just gotta take it as it is. But the one thing I'm not gonna do is give up. No matter what happens, gotta keep pushing, gotta keep fighting, gotta keep putting my body on the line for my family, for this city, for this team. I can't sit back and be like, every single time I feel bad about myself, why me,
Like, I love that answer.
That is a mature, and already won an MVP, father, like just a grown-up Joel
like that
Embiid
that answer should be celebrated by Sixers fans today. Even though, obviously there's ones that are out on Joel Embiid or just don't like him for whatever reason and call him soft. That should be celebrated, what he said last night. You hear the human element of him saying, sometimes ask myself, like, why me? I told you, the first thing I thought of when he got hurt against the Warriors, when Kuminga falls on his leg, my first thought was his mental stability. That was my first thought, not his leg, not the season. I go, dude, this guy's probably thinking, what the hell? Like, black cat syndrome, right? And he's kind of telling us that when he's saying, why me? But he doesn't just sit there in sorrow. He works his way back. Think about what he had to go through to get back on the court this year, right? He gets the surgery, gets the rehab. He has to get back to the game speed, game shape. And, oh, by the way, people still think he might not be in full game shape. He dropped 50 last night.
I saw my radio in Atlanta. go through this in like the 5th year of our show.
The Bell's palsy.
He had the Bell's palsy. Hit him at. He was at a bowl game practice.
Okay.
Down in Orlando, and he said, "I'm not feeling right," and he was feeling like his face, and he thought he was having a stroke.
Yeah, I can imagine.
His was pretty severe. Now it all remedied itself in a couple months.
Right.
But it was just, he said, it was so freaking annoying for him. Like it is a challenge for him. It is another challenge. And Joel Embiid understands challenges, and hopefully it's just something. It's an annoyance. The one thing they do say is that it's an annoyance. And he's got a mild case. Still, though, mild case.
But it's
you're playing NBA. It's
just
another
something
thing.
else. Right.
It's another
Dude,
annoyance.
this guy in face injuries, right? Bell's palsy.
Another annoying thing that just plays on your mind and bothers you.
All right, let's get to a couple of texts, Connor. You lead the way. I don't know if you want to go Sixers first or NFL draft first, because either way, we're talking about it today, man.
I'm getting the opportunity to lead this
You're
one.
the producer of the
lead
show,
it.
Dan.
Come on, Connor.
All right, we're going to start with a little bit of Sixers. It's just a shout-out. It's a quick one here, but shout-out MVP Embiid, 50 points on one leg. Bell's palsy, still unstoppable. The guy is an absolute monster.
And I just want that to be celebrated by people today.
Oh, they're celebrating.
Oh, they're
We've
celebrating.
got a lot of Embiid texts.
Good.
And also, we've got to check in here from Owen and Delco saying, guys, I'm so happy. Phil's winning. Wheeler shoved. Embiid backed up his word and led us to win. And the Birds get, in quotes, the best corner in the draft without having to move up. We take a lot of L's around here. So I'm going to take last night in.
Yeah, we do take a lot of L's. We do take a lot of L's, and that's why, look, I know we don't see many championships, but, we've had this conversation, John. The point of being a sports fan should not be about watching for championships, right?
Yeah, no
Because you're
question.
going to go crazy if that's how
You're never going to be pleased.
Right, because it's been a long time for the Flyers, long time for the Sixers. It's been a long time for the Phillies all of a sudden, and, thank God the Eagles won 6 years ago, February 4th, 2018. But a night like last night is why you're a sports fan, because it's the unknown, right? It's the unknown. You didn't know what the Sixers were going to do. We thought the Sixers would win. You went alternate line. But
I really did. I thought it would be that game, but here's the thing. I thought it would be that game, but I didn't think it would be that game.
Right, you didn't, and that's the beauty of sports.
You know what I mean? Like, it was a different storyline, but I truly believed that the Sixers were going to be up by like double digits at the end, and we weren't going to be sweating it.
Right.
And we weren't. I mean, at least if you were, I don't know what you were.
I was sweating it.
You were?
Yeah, Joel kept getting to the line. He kept getting to the line. They kept being aggressive. I loved it. I just, that game gave me such confidence that they like this matchup. They can win this matchup, and they can figure it out.
The other thing that I loved about last night for the Sixers, you said you can't wait for the talking point of the second round to go away.
It would be the greatest thing and I'm somebody who uses it a lot.
Right, no, me too.
I would love.
As a diehard Sixers fan, I point
would
it out all the time.
I would love to be able to say we're not talking.
The
about
other
it.
talking point that died last night, how many times you heard Joel Embiid has never had the game, like a playoff game like that he hasn't had a moment in the playoffs. I mean, that was his best playoff game ever.
I think Game 3, Toronto, off hit, where you got the 3-pointer to win the game. And that to me was that was a moment. But last night was a collective, just performance of ballsiness.
Yeah.
And he had the swag last night. He was, and honestly, early in that game, he was out of control.
Yeah.
And he calmed himself down. There's so many things to like about yesterday. The whole day, about how the day went down. It just puts a smile on my face.
Absolutely great day yesterday. So we'll continue to talk about it. You can climb in on the phone lines or the text line at 610-632-0975. It's the exact same number, 610-632-0975. You got give us one more text, Connor, because I know they're coming in hot and heavy, and I want to give the people the opportunity to react today, man. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I catch you off guard there? All right, I caught him off guard. We'll get more texts coming your way next. Also, coming up next, we sort of mentioned it.
Sort of mentioned it?
A.J. Brown got an extension yesterday.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean A.J. Brown doesn't want to get traded? He doesn't want to move?
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
news.
Yeah, you know what's cool, John? This show is a real. We don't make up like trade scenarios.
A.J. Brown for Patrick Surtain.
No, we talked about A.J. Brown being the best wide receiver since maybe T.O. in Philadelphia. He has numbers to back it up. And you know what? Howie Roseman realizes that, and that's why he gives him the contract that he got last night. So we'll talk about the A.J. Brown extension, more reaction to the NFL draft where they even have to trade up. They stayed at 22. Unbelievable. And more Sixers talk. Your calls, your
Perfect.
stands around too much. It's all right. It's 2024. All right, it's not 1970 anymore. Joel Embiid can shoot, and he hit it, and he played well last night, and sometimes he needs to take a series off, so that's why he stands by the three-point line. But you know what? When he's making it, keep shooting, kid. Keep shooting. An incredible night last night for the Sixers, an incredible night to be a Philadelphia sports fan. I just watched an incredibly lovely, awkward video of the Eagles' war room after the selection of Quinyon Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo. Howie Rosen and Jeffrey Lurie were in the in-between normal high five / bro hug high five. And then Nick Sirianni gave Howie Rosen a big smack on the rear end.
That was a strange look. And why throw the phone? Did you see that?
He's excited, man. He's fired up.
But he threw it like it was like
it was a mic drop.
I don't know.
It was a mic drop, man. He was fired up. I probably threw something myself last night.
He had an incredible. That was an incredible night for Howie.
He had an incredible day. So we haven't talked about it much yet because there's so much going on between and the Phillies win and the Sixers win and then the draft and how the draft played out in the Eagles' favor. Yesterday, before the Eagles even made their selection, it was at 7:45. Adam Schefter drops the bombshell that the Eagles and A.J. Brown agreed on a 3-year, $96 million extension. It includes $84 million guaranteed. The $32 million is the highest per year average for any wide receiver. We just went through that list yesterday about the highest paid player at each position, and the Eagles didn't have one single player at that, and I celebrated that for Howie Roseman. It's okay to have one, and it's okay that it's A.J. Brown, a guy that gets compared to Terrell Owens. It's okay. I'm glad that A.J. Brown got paid. I'm glad that this narrative is freaking over, that A.J. Brown doesn't want to be here, or that we should trade A.J. Brown for cornerbacks.
Wait a minute.
No, stop that.
Poll question. Would you trade A.J. Brown? Oh, no, we don't.
Ridiculous.
We don't do that crap.
It's ridiculous.
We don't do that.
He is part of the reason why this offense is as dynamic as it is. There's no excuses for Jalen Hurts next year, which is a good thing, right? He has A.J. Brown to work with, Devontae Smith to work with, Saquon Barkley, the offensive line in front of him. It's amazing, man. And stop with this narrative of A.J. Brown's got to go, or I don't like his attitude. Most. I feel like in Philadelphia, don't we like when people wear their heart on their sleeves? Don't we like that?
Well, I don't like it when a guy says that social media causes them to be
I get
like.
it.
So if something causes you that problem, stay the hell back.
Right.
Stay the hell
I
out.
know. I get it.
But I love watching him. I said, as I've said a million times on this show, he is loved here. He's beloved here.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be able to make legend here.
And you
which is
just
awesome.
extended Devontae Smith, was it earlier this week or last week?
It's unbelievable.
Because Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are locked up for multiple years still.
You got 5 more years of Devontae Smith.
That's amazing.
And one of the biggest issues this franchise has had over my lifetime is fixed, and it's fixed long term, and it looks great.
I mean, think about your life as an Eagles fan.
Oh, my
Right?
gosh.
The lack of attention shown toward wide receivers.
When I first started loving football, Howard Carmichael was, when I was a little kid, like my dad and my uncles. And everything. Carmichael was the biggest deal.
And then it took
Quick,
a while.
And we love Mike Quick, and Mike Quick's great in this town. But Mike Quick wasn't A.J. Brown.
Right. No.
Mike Quick was.
He wasn't Deshaun Jackson.
Mike Quick wasn't Devontae Smith either.
Right. You now have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
I can't believe it.
By the way, your life wasn't just your childhood. I mean, the last 22 years, they've not drafted a cornerback in the first round. And look, they've done a good job picking up guys via free agency and making trades. So it's not like the Eagles have been bad at getting cornerbacks somehow.
No. Right.
But it's nice knowing that you have a guy on a rookie deal who is coveted by a lot of teams in the NFL. It's such an offensive heavy league nowadays that he fell to 22. And you know what? The Eagles didn't have to focus on offense in the draft because they already have such a win-now-mode offense, and now you make an impact player. And, John, you asked me the other day, is there a position that they could draft where you would go, all right, now all of a sudden their Super Bowl chances are higher? It happened last night. Am I going to expect Quinyon Mitchell to go out there?
Their chances are higher this morning than they were.
I'm not calling them a Super Bowl lock. I don't know if he's Darrelle Revis, right? I don't know if I have Revis Island, but I know that I have a guy that was coveted in the draft, one of the highest-rated cornerbacks in the draft, and the Eagles were able to get him and not have to trade up for him. They didn't have to give up any. You were so worried about the second-round pick. They have both of them still, John.
And it would have been crazy. I just can't. I can't get over it. It was a perfect night. Now I'm going to get freaking greedy, and we'll talk about that as the show goes along.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm greedy going into tonight.
Good.
I am
I
greedy.
like greedy, John. He's Mr. Logic, Mr. Don't be
no.
greedy.
Tonight I'm greedy.
Welcome
Tonight
to the
I'm
greedy side. Greed is good. Chris Sims on social media yesterday. Chris Sims normally, a stickler for Eagles fans because
That's
he's not
a funny way to say dumb.
Yeah, he's not a big fan of Jalen Hurts and this team. His thoughts on Quinyon Mitchell. Holy bleep, the rich get richer. Best cornerback in the draft, one of the 4 best defensive players in the draft. Great feel and anticipation for what the offense wants to do. Coached a bit and learns bump and run. Look out. So we're even getting one of the biggest haters of, well, maybe more so Jalen Hurts than the Eagles organization, but we all hate Chris Sims here. Chris Sims throwing flowers toward the Eagles. It's great.
Chris Sims loves to be hated, though.
Oh, sure.
He lives
Seems
for
like it.
He lives
Seems
for
like it. Oh, my God. Just what a fun day. All right, let's go to the phones. Go to Mitch in Phoenix. Hello, Mitch.
How you doing, boys?
Mitch, we're fired up today, man.
Yeah, it was a good night. It was a great night. You know, it's funny. I never changed the channel because I was so into that game last night. I never went over to the draft.
Yeah, me neither. I was phone on the draft until the Sixers game ended.
You got to love the name Chop Robinson, huh?
No.
It's a good.
No.
It's
Nah,
a
you know
good.
what?
It's
I
a
like
good
Pork
football
Chop.
name.
And I loved seeing the story, like the bit of his family.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that, Mitch. It was about, mom and grandma called him pork chop.
Chop.
And then when he slimmed down, he said, "You can't call me pork chop anymore. Let's just make it
But
chop."
I just didn't need him on the Eagles.
Yeah, I did not. I was worried that he was going to slide and they were going to get, I think, too small sample size. I wouldn't have wanted it.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. Now I know you want to talk about campaign, right, Mitch? Because you were worried about the bench earlier this series.
Well, last night I was so happy to see him in the game, and he scored 11, and the Sixers won by 11. So to me, if you got a guy like that, there's no reason to sit him for the first 2 games. I'm really glad he put him in last
Well,
night.
I understood why, and thanks for the call, Mitch. I understood why that they wanted to go with Buddy Hield because, again, Buddy Hield is more of a prolific three-point, and he's a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. You saw campaign.
Is he, though?
Yes.
You know what I mean? He is.
Yes, he is.
That's what I believe. But wow.
campaign does more off the dribble, and maybe that's why he's not on the court so much. But a night like last night, he's going to be playing in Game 4. Get ready to see more campaign. And
he earned it.
Yeah, he earned it, and he's one of those guys where you go, keep shooting until you can't shoot anymore. I mean, that's what it basically is, but also feel comfortable playing with Joel Embiid because ultimately the offense still runs through Joe. But such a great night. We'll continue to have this fun all day long. This is going to be a highly energetic show from start until finish. I can't believe we're already done 1 hour, so I can't believe that we have – I'm happy that we have 3 more, John, because there's still so much to be said. It's a Fanatic Friday presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys know to fix your flow. Some horrible organizations in the NFL. We point them out coming your way next, and it's another chance for us to say thank you, Howie Roseman. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. On Kincade and Salciunas. Yeah, I mean, look, we're showing a lot of love to Joel Embiid today. Obviously, a guy dropped 50, but a nice night for Tyrese Maxey as well. He was quiet in the first half and then just goes off in the second half. He finishes with 14 points. He hits 2 that second half, plays almost 23 minutes of action. Just an incredible night for the Sixers. Fanatic Friday presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair, pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys to know to fix your flow. So all day today we are reacting this night, and of course how the NFL played out for the Eagles, and it played out, could I say perfectly?
We don't know perfectly yet, but it certainly played out very, very well. Very well.
Look, obviously we have to see how Quinyon Mitchell ends up playing.
No. I'm just talking
career.
about it's perfectly in that. How about this? It went perfectly in the fact that they didn't have to touch any of their assets to get what they wanted.
And they got an impact player. Let's play that clip that we played in the first segment again, Connor. Howie Roseman was asked about drafting a position of not necessarily need, because you do have Darius Slay and but Howie Roseman was asked about that, and especially because it's been 22 years since the Eagles have drafted a cornerback in the first round. Here's his answer.
Well, I think you hit it. We didn't feel like we had to take a corner in the first round, but it was the highest ranked player on our board at a position that we'd like to kind of get some younger players here. We got some younger players last year. We like those younger players. We wanted to add some competition at the corner position, and so we felt like based on those factors. But I think the most important thing was that we didn't jump the board. This guy was standing out on our board. He was the highest ranked guy, and it seemed like a pretty easy pick. Though again, the only reason so a bunch of good players there that we liked that we would have been happy to select,
and they didn't have to trade, whether or not that they would trade up. Didn't end up having to do it. That is, and you see for the Eagles, and
he tried intelligence. I say like military intelligence. He understood his opposition. He felt confident of what other teams were going to do directly above him on the board.
Yeah,
and I can't believe it because I I would have blitzed
I would've too.
right at the Rams. I texted you guys right before the Rams and said, I think he's going to trade for that Rams pick because Les Snead's always open for business.
Right.
And I said he's going to end up giving up something just to guarantee that he goes and gets his guy. He didn't. Congratulations, Howie. That was
We
awesome.
would love your reaction, and we would love your celebration because today is a day to celebrate being a Philadelphia sports fan. You can text in and you can call in at 610-632-0975. I know we have a ton of texts about the Sixers that we'll get to in a couple of minutes, but the reason why the draft played out so perfectly, or, if you don't want to say perfect, so well
Right.
for the Eagles last night, let's run through it a little bit. As expected, 3 quarterbacks off the board right away. Caleb Williams first overall. Jaden Daniels out of LSU goes to the Commanders. And then Drake May goes to the Patriots, the quarterback out of North Carolina. They're about how they could have traded out of that spot, but they stuck with it. They drafted Drake May, the can't-miss talent that we heard on ESPN Overnight the other day.
Reportedly, the Giants would have been interested in getting up to that spot.
Correct. Now, speaking of the Giants, there was a lot of talk that they could have drafted J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy was on Rich Eisen's show. And Rich Eisen asked, where do you think you're going? He said, I think I'm going to the Giants. That's the team that I spent the most time with. It's the team that I've talked to the most. Nope, he does not go to the Giants. They drafted Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver out of LSU, who's a stud. They just keep on pumping out incredible talent, wide receiver talent.